Why was this bigger than any other Iowa caucus?
We get the most votes of any sitting president in history, and then somebody else takes over and they take a look at what we had versus what they have now. And the difference is so stark. It's so massive. It's so different. The country is a different place. So in the history of the Iowa primary, I mean, the history of it, goes back a long time. I won by the most. Nobody's ever won, as you know, because you covered it very well, but everybody covered it. Even the bad reporters covered it this way. There's nobody even close. I doubled up and more than doubled up the second best, now the second best. It stood for a long time, as you know, that record. But they want to make sure, I'm sure the Supreme Court is going to say, we're not going to take the vote away from the people. Now, Biden is a threat to democracy. He's an absolute threat to democracy.
Mr. President, great to have you back, sir. How are you?
Well, thank you very much. That is some list you read off, and you can probably double and triple it. It's so bad. I don't think we've ever been in a position like this. It's terrible what's happened to our country in 3 years.
Well, let's start in Iowa, though. The largest margin of victory prior to your 30-point win on Monday was Bob Dole in 1988 with about just under 13% victory margin. This is historic in so many ways. How do you analyze this? Trump is evil, Trump is evil, Trump is evil, and dangerous, and you've got to fear him. January 6th, and then the usual playbook. Republicans are racist and sexist and have every phobia known to man, whether it's real or not, and they want dirty air and water. That's all they've got. I don't see any one issue that Joe Biden can run on. What will your answer to their predictable attacks be?
Well, that's all they have is right, because their economy has been terrible. The inflation is destroyed. Anybody that made even a little more money, even a lot more money, it more than got eaten alive by inflation. We got along with Putin. You know, it's good to get along with people like Putin and like others. You take a look at what's going on with China. They're just licking their chops right now to go into Taiwan. They wouldn't have even thought about it with me. And I had talks with President Xi. I have a great relationship. If Hillary Clinton would have won, you would have had a nuclear war with North Korea. Kim Jong-un, I got along with him too. Nobody ever got to talk to him except me. And I got not only talked to him, I got along with him great. It's good to get along with people that have massive nuclear weapons. At the largest tax cuts ever, the largest regulation cuts ever. You know what right to try is if you're able to use some of these incredible new drugs that they're making, bio drugs and other drugs, and people's lives are being saved. Now you get them here. I said, no, they're terminally ill. We're going to do something, and we got it done. It was not easy either, because the drug companies, nobody wanted it. When you look at the price increases of energy, of housing, and I mean rental housing. I looked the other day, it's up almost 51%. The cost of bacon quadrupled. All of these things, I mean, food costs, clothing costs, it's so much that no matter what you're making, it doesn't matter. You know, inflation is known over the years, over hundreds of years. It's known as a country buster. It breaks countries. It broke Germany. It broke a lot of countries. Stay in Mexico. Remember, remain in Mexico? That was me. Remain in Mexico. Nobody can come in. They remain. You think Mexico was happy about that? They gave it to me. Catch and release in Mexico. I call it catch and release in Mexico. We had catch and release in the United States, and Mexico did that. They gave us things that nobody can believe. The State Department couldn't believe it. The Border Patrol people, they couldn't believe it. Nobody could believe it. Nobody could believe it. You know, if you talk to Tom Homan, and if you talk to anybody from Border Patrol, and they have great people, they'll tell you the greatest president in history for the border, for immigration, was Trump. Not even a contest. Not even a contest.
Yeah. Let me ask you about these states that are trying to remove you from the ballot.
And what else did we have? No inflation. We had the safest border in the history of our country, and it was like a beautiful thing was taking place. We had a border, and I got Mexico to do a lot for us. Now Mexico's saying we want $5 billion just to talk. Mexico wouldn't have talked to me that way. I have a great relationship with the president, but Mexico, they had to pay a lot. You know, they gave us 28,000 soldiers free of charge to guard our border. And when I first presented that to them, they laughed. They thought I was kidding. But through a series of negotiations, they gave us everything we wanted. And what else did we have? No inflation. We had the safest border in the history of our country, and it was like a beautiful thing was taking place. We had a border, and I got Mexico to do a lot for us. Now Mexico's saying we want $5 billion just to talk. Mexico wouldn't have talked to me that way. I have a great relationship with the president, but Mexico, they had to pay a lot. You know, they gave us 28,000 soldiers free of charge to guard our border. And when I first presented that to them, they laughed. They thought I was kidding. But through a series of negotiations, they gave us everything we wanted.